Let me ask you a question, Violators. Would you rather watch a movie or listen to a song? You don't have to choose today, because our guest, filmmaker, music producer, he does a whole bunch of other stuff too. Check it out.
All right, what up, everybody? It's Top to Top. It's your boy Jay, Super Saiyan Jaffe.
Cool guy JD on the IG.
And Jimmy Thump.
I'm Brandon Shalia from Steak and Cake Records.
We got my buddy Brandon out. We're here at the Struggle Clothing in Buffalo for
You
the
already know.
Rousing edition of
You
the
already know.
podcast. Oh, and I'm on camera today. I'm not.
He not Jimmy plugged in.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy on cam now.
You already know.
Brandon, thank you for coming.
Thank you for
My
having
God,
me.
thank
It's a pleasure.
Yes,
Pleasure
so
to be here.
My buddy Brandon here.
Right,
Pretty much doesn't know. He does a whole lot. Brandon, maybe just give the folks at home just a little taste of some of the things you have going on.
Totally, yeah. I like to stay busy, a lot of projects in the pipeline. One of the main things that I'm really excited about right now is this 21 and under Battle of the Bands. So I've been looking for some younger acts coming up, trying to help foster youth musicianship in that way and put it together for a while. That was really difficult, though. Like, where do you look? How do you get in touch with that population? You know, I'm really kind of removed from that age-wise. So
Right.
it's been kind of interesting, exploring that whole thing. But I also, run a label proper and do a lot of shows, and I've been doing some filmmaking lately. James and I have been talking a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So it kind of runs the range, whether it's producing audio stuff for bands or kind of going in more of a script writing, movie production style.
Oh, you're a man of many talents. you
Renaissance man.
I'm saying. So I was watching a video that ours truly did on you.
Yeah.
And so what I learned was you have your own record. You have your own record company, Steak and Cake.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you have your own venue, Curly's
Right.
Basement.
Yeah.
That's dope as hell, because from when I watched the video, you spoke about how you worked at the liquor store, and you ended up asking if you could just use that space because it was commercial anyways,
Right.
and it ended up paying off. They said yes, and just something as simple as that, how it just expanded for you, just you working, man.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation. I mean, that's sort of how James and I came to know each other. Was I had this project called Dream Team. The idea was we put 5 people who never made music together in a room for an hour, just let them go wild, hit record, chop it up afterwards, and put it out. And so you were there for, I think, the first session of that, and kind of exploring that.
Sonny Baker was there too.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Sonny
we
Baker,
put
Nick Randall.
The camera on the GoPro. That was a really fun shoot. That was that
Yeah.
was literally one of my first kind of docu projects.
Yeah, it turned out awesome.
It really set the stage for me in terms of my own work. I just really loved
I also put you on course. So where you at? Okay.
And that's why I'm Brandon is one of the most interesting people I know. I really think I could talk to Brandon for days, just about stuff. But so I'm really curious. That's interesting. There's a car alarm going off in the background. Cut that.
Shit happens.
And so tell us, how do you intertwine the live stuff, the produced stuff? I mean, is it all kind of an ebb and flow? One plays off of the other, or how much involvement? I mean, when do you bring people? When do you do Curly's?
Curly's is so when I bought the house in 2014, it was almost once or twice a month, sometimes 3 or 4 times a month. I try and squeeze shows in, and it was based on the touring musicians that were coming through and how often they were coming through.
Yeah.
So I was really trying to stretch and make that happen for them. And then as time went on, I realized, I kind of want to just focus on stuff that's really of interest to me, and I'll help them get set up somewhere else.
Gotcha.
But Curly's has become almost like a testing ground now.
Oh, cool.
So
that's what's up.
we bring in, now what I do is I contact one guy, a musician that I find to be sort of remarkable in Buffalo. For instance, there's a saxophone player coming in next time. He's putting together this ensemble of musicians coming down to the basement, doing 2 45-minute sets, and that's it. So it used to be 4 or 5 bands, start up, end up. But this is a little intermission in between, a much different atmosphere.
That's
So
yeah, I mean that's
the fully evolved version of
cool.
Curly's. But
Yeah.
it started off, in the basement at the liquor store, which was just like run and gun style recording. Was in a bedroom, moved to a basement at the liquor store, and then moved to my house. when I
Those
eventually
3 a.m.
bought it.
recordings.
Yeah, the only time we could do it was when they'd shut down, so it was a lot of late nights,
So sleep deprivation plays in a big fact when you're creating art.
Would you agree
Oh, yeah.
that there's like a magic hour, when you get to like 2, 3 a.m., something just sort of
Yeah.
Everything else is so quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it comes within that like.
You in the studio working. Like,
Yeah.
you,
that
you do it,
outside
yeah.
piece where there's nothing like to worry because everybody in the world's asleep. So
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
no other cares going on. I think
No
that
distractions.
that for me I think is a big thing. So tell us a little about your filmmaking. I know this is something that we've never even touched on in our conversations.
Yeah, so iPhone is amazing, right? Like you're using like this high-tech equipment. I don't know anything about that. I know a lot about story. I have friends that are really willing to like just jump in and do whatever. I've gotten pretty good at editing. I feel like that's where it all comes together in a way that makes it look, professional enough to enjoy and not just like, shaky cam all over.
Yeah.
But really it was a desire to tell stories and then finding out that I have the ability to do it like right in my pocket, A friend of mine who was working on a series of like comedy shorts let me film like a 5-minute section of one of them. And I was like, oh, I could do this. Like I feel like I could scale this up and make it like a movie. So that's what I've been trying to do lately.
That's dope.
Yeah, when did you really start getting into it? I mean, is this a relatively newer thing for you, or has it been like a itch for a long time?
Definitely an itch in the sense like when I was growing up, I was watching movies all the time as a kid. That's like what my dad and my brother did all the time.
Saying we movie heads too.
Yeah, movies
We-
constant.
Half the episodes we do end up turning into like movie podcasts.
We just we go on about that shit.
That's the thing. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I just started watching you, so hearing about the joint in the basement and everything just reminded me of the, how we had the little book thing in the basement and everything else.
You guys came out of the basement too, you mean?
Well,
I mean, not a basement, but we started in my apartment.
Okay.
We from an apartment. We went to another house.
Oh, man, how squished we used to be.
Yeah. We definitely
know how
came
it
up.
is.
Yeah.
Different settings bring out different feelings,
Oh, yeah.
different stuff,
Oh,
yeah.
my favorite thing that you said you named Curly's after your grandmother, right?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a grandmother's boy too, man.
Yeah, big influence on me. Just, I didn't unfortunately get to know her for very long. She passed in '92, so I was like, 7 years old or something. But
Yeah.
in that short amount of time, she really instilled this like sense of just grace and kindness and love that, it just stuck with me, And so when I was thinking of what should I name this place, I want it to have like a certain energy about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be like a punk club. I don't want any violence or any negativity in there. And it seemed like using her name was the best way to honor the sense of that spirit. So
Right.
that's what I was after with that, definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you got your hand kind of in a little bit of everything: film, music, all sorts of arts. What do you think of the state of music or film or art in general in Buffalo? I mean, I know. I think kind of most prominently, people see most like the muralists have kind of gotten a growing name around the city. And
Yeah, I
because
love
their work
that.
is shown. So that's a lot of physical media, but audio I think is also kind of on its way up. Where do you see stuff like that going?
We'll break it down, like talking about
Yeah.
music first. I'm sure
Yeah.
you guys will have opinions on this, but I was having a conversation the other day saying that it seems like music is the only art that money has just been like disappeared from it, and people expect it to be free. And I know like
That's a
Spotify
fact.
and all that,
Yeah.
you're streaming it all. If you look at Netflix as like a corollary, okay, the movie's coming to you, it's on a subscription basis, and the studios get that money and to a certain degree for licensing.
Right.
On Spotify, you're making 2 cents a play, or quarter of a cent a play, or whatever that craziness is. And it feels like music, in a lot of ways, people will see it as like, oh, it's suffering because of that. And in some ways, it has evolved to be just for yourself,
Yeah.
And I think people explore a little bit more, and there isn't as much of a, here's what the mainstream is, and here's what you have to do to get on the radio. It's like you can do your own thing and then suddenly blow up just because of the way the access is there, So it's like two-way, like it's
almost
good
like
and bad.
Almost like a double-edged sword with the ease of access for media nowadays. Like, it becomes that everyone can like do it or listen to it, but to the same token, there's almost like Yeah, you're right. You don't need to live for the radio anymore.
Right.
You're not like
What is
listen to
making
the
it,
radio.
you know?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I haven't listened to the radio because I have Spotify, admittingly,
Mhm.
and that's because like I know what I want to listen to.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
listen. I'm not a radio guy
So-
myself.
And they play like the same 4 songs all day.
Mhm.
And that
Sure.
gets old. So
Now, I see something I wanted to know is now going back to Curly's, like you having events now. How do you go about your selection process? Do you anybody that wants to come in is it like just an open opportunity for anybody, or is it like more of a selection system?
It used to be pretty open, where it was like if someone knew someone who was coming through, it's almost always based on out-of-town bands. So someone from Chicago wants to come through, and it's like they're having a hard time finding a place to play, and I'd be like, oh, come down to our spot. I'll fill out the bill. I'll be the door guy, the sound guy. I'll be the promotional guy. Like, if I believe in what they're doing, it's really easy to buy in. But as I've gotten older, and maybe because I've taken on a lot of different projects, it's more like, okay, it has to really like spark my interest in order for it to be something that I put down there. I'm more than happy to like help you out and get it somewhere else, you know, because I always want musicians to feel welcome here.
Mhm.
But, you know, in my house is a different thing. It's like, you know, you're inviting this whole energy in, and you got to be kind of careful with what you put down there sometimes. So.
yeah, and I mean,
Thanks.
I think last time I talked to you about Curly's, you mentioned that you kind of did want to eventually go somewhere bigger.
That was
Is
the
that still,
plan.
Is that still something, or maybe even a little less now, or?
You know what I'm dreaming of lately? And this is like
Yeah.
just starting in my
Sometimes
head.
less is better.
Maybe you're right. I should start dreaming of that. Just a little sleep. But a movie theater space, like
see,
a space with a
Nah,
theater
that's
screen
dope.
and a
I'll take
stage.
it back.
You know,
Yeah.
I would love to do
Kind
that.
of like North Park kind of has that setup. I don't think they've ever used it for. 'cause
Not
you
in
can't
that
take
sense,
the
right?
Seats out,
Right.
but their theater is on a stage.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of obviously that's huge and like grand in
Yeah.
there, but you know, a small scale version of that would be really dope. I feel like if that existed, you could put movies in it. Like one of the things I wanted to back up and say about the movie community in Buffalo is
Yeah.
it's way harder to figure out who's doing it,
Yeah.
like
agree
we're
with
doing it, and not just music, which is you can find that pretty easy. You go to a show, but film festivals and things are few and far between. And like I just found one other guy that's doing like narrative film. But it's been difficult to break into that
No,
community.
I completely agree. And the same, like I almost wrote one film with a group in Niagara Falls. He kind of went crazy and ghosted all of us. We had like 15 people on board that project. It kind of fell apart.
Mhm.
And then I tried to do another film with a group of guys from UB, and the film commission didn't want to even respond to it.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to get permits for shooting. And
Oh, wow.
we ended up doing it guerrilla style, but we kind of raised the flack during the death scene when we had somebody on the ground who was dead in the middle of Grant Street in Buffalo. That got some people to stop and literally
That
run out of their
could
cars.
that could be a little line.
Right, without
yell
any
at us.
permits or anything.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
coverage, you know, like.
yeah, something like so. And then it was like, yeah, I think that community is certainly maybe tinier or even just not as loud or doesn't get as much breathing room.
It kind of feels that way, but I could be wrong. Like maybe they're hiding
Maybe
somewhere.
they're hiding, and I don't. Yeah,
I don't know about
Yeah.
them. But speaking of that, in the process of this like 21 and under battle thing, I've come across a few kids that are really like just starting to get to that point where they want to play out and they want to like. 21 and under is interesting because most venues in Buffalo, you got to be that age, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is like right the time where they're just about to figure it out, you know, it feels like.
Mhm.
And some of the people I've met have just been like mind-blowingly good. Like
Yeah.
15-year-olds who sound, you know, like I can't imagine when they're
Seasoned.
25 how
Yeah.
good they're going to be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
So-
where are some of these kids like coming in from, or like where do you find them, or where do they seem like their different backgrounds are coming from?
It's all over the map, really. So
Really?
in the beginning, I was talking to the superintendent of Buffalo Public Schools, and he was like getting me into the listserv of the music teachers. And so I hit a few of them, and they were like maybe posting the flyer, maybe not, I don't know. But once I found like one or two bands, I kind of went backwards through their Facebook pages to see who they played with,
Right.
and then I just like tried to hit them all up and,
All
and
right.
capture them through there. So each time I've done one, I did like a trial run, and then like the first showcase. Now we're on the second showcase, and it's like, okay, I got a stable of like artists that I know. Like I'm kind of tapping into it a little bit more.
It's great.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Like just for someone to showcase the younger talent out there, and
Yeah,
even
man.
like gives the like when you're that young, I think it feels like there's a really big like glass ceiling above you. Like I'm just a kid, so
Yeah, where do I
who's gonna
start? What
look
do I
my
do?
way?
And the main thing, you're giving them an opportunity
Yeah,
to showcase what they got. And it's like I said, it's not just any kid. I mean, you don't want to be, mean about it, but you're picking quality artists, quality performers.
They got to be ready,
Right.
to a certain degree. But yeah, I definitely, I just feel like it's really important because when I was coming up, I had this opportunity through like there was a YWCA in Batavia, New York. That's where I went to high school, and the executive director let the kids like rent it out once a month and do shows there in the rec room.
Right.
And it was like we had no opportunity otherwise, and because that was there, it spawned like 30 or 40 bands in my high school, in like one small high school.
Oh,
So
cool.
the opportunity is everything, Once you see it and feel like I can achieve that, then it becomes real. So that's the idea.
So what I want to ask you before we wrap, like, what's next? What you got going on now?
Next for me, I would say, so Battle of the Bands is going to finish up. March is the second battle, and the winner of the first one and the winner of the second one are going to face off in the finale this summer at Asbury Hall, Ani DeFranco's church,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like,
on that big stage.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah.
So that's going to kind of wrap, and then there's some curly shows that are coming up, that curated style where I'm going to pick one guy and put him down there. But the thing I'm most excited about is this summer I'm going to start filming my next project, which is going to be about a filmmaker, so it's like layered on like a little bit of a meta thing. It's about a director who's trying to make a movie, so I'm filming them and they're making their movie, and that's and
Oh,
it'll
okay.
play out.
I
That's-
actually really like. There's one.
I like
I've never
that.
seen
I like that.
Living in Oblivion.
I don't think I know that one.
You would like. It's got like Steve Buscemi. It's an indie film. Really like. I think it only exists on like DVD. I couldn't find it streaming. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
It's that way where everything that's supposed to be like part of the actual film is in color, and then when they're shooting the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, like it's all a narrative driven story. But when it's black and white, but then when the director looks through to see his actual film, it's in color.
Yeah.
And then it flips halfway through
That's
it,
awesome.
and it plays on the thematics of it. Why it flipped? Oh, it's really cool.
What's it called?
Living in Oblivion.
Living in Oblivion.
Yeah,
It's
there's
really cool.
I'm gonna look at that.
Yep, The Other Side of the Wind is another one that reminds me of what you're talking about. Orson Welles, his last film, he never got to finish, and Netflix, 40 years later, put like 10 million into it and pulled it together. Same thing though, changes like the actual film he's filming on, whether it's color, black and white, and you get like a whole different perspective. So I just
Gotcha.
want to explore what it's like to almost like mirror myself, watch myself go crazy trying to make a movie.
Yeah,
and actually
exactly.
film that.
I think because I think
I like
everyone
that. Shit
really-
is dope. I like that.
'cause I think everyone really loves the process of things.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's cathartic for a lot of people, but I think it
Yeah.
also it's where a lot of the biggest struggles are.
And that's the thing. And you making a movie about struggling to make a movie. It's like a what's the word? Like a method feel to that. It's like,
Yeah.
man, it's self-satisfying.
Well,
Totally.
Especially if you were to actually you got to get the film crew to film the film crew to make the film. That it's like
Layers, right?
Yeah, it's so many layers. Well, it's like
You got to tap in a different way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's cool. Well, Brendan, I think we can wrap up here. I thank you for coming on to talk with us.
Thank you so
My
much
God,
for having
thanks
me.
for making it
Really
with
awesome.
We'll have to do a follow-up and see where things are.
Yeah, I'd love for that to
Definitely
happen.
check out Brandon's stuff, Steak and Cake Records, Curly's. This under 21 battle of the bands. That's awesome.
And we
About the finals.
March
we got to get.
27th
I was
for that
about
one.
to say we got to get a date,
Yeah,
man.
we-
We got to come up to see.
Yeah,
Right.
but if we had to,
That's the one thing we talked about, like going to more live events and shows and capturing that moment. We got to do it. So.
Definitely. Sometimes it's hard to get out there though. It's like you're sitting on your couch and you're like,
Oh, I hate
snowing
it.
like
I
this.
don't, I
It's
don't
like,
leave in
ah.
the winter. I am a hermit in the winter. It's
I got a
I hate-
2-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to do, but yeah, breaking through every once in a while is good.
That's a fact. That's a fact. With Violators, you already know what it is. It's your boy Jay, Super Saiyan Jaffe,
Cool guy, JD.
Yeah, Jimmy Thumb.
And Brandon Schlia, thanks for having me.
and we the Violators.